All right, so I'm going to do XRP here, and I'll start on this screen, yeah. Not feck it, I'll start on this screen. This is just the daily again, and the 200 SMA and the 50 SMA, yeah. So I've been talking about previous patterns, and that potentially is price action is going to get down below the 50 SMA. If it's going to break down, it'll get below the 50 SMA. It'll do a back test, get rejected, and then begin maybe a bit of sideways, and then there'll be a very sharp, very fast drop. That's the previous two bottoms in the bear markets. That's where the pattern is now. But again, we gotta play both potentials. It could equally just bounce up. It could bounce up another level. It could be doing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it could be heading up another level before it attempts that, yeah. Or it's up another level, short retrace, and then it pumps the high heaven. There's absolutely both potentials. I do think where the pattern is that we're heading for a down, yeah. But let's look at what happened, because price action was looking. You can see the reversal candle here on the daily, yeah, and you can see price action was doing a bit of effort to get down here, and then on the 4 hour there was a bullish divergence appeared on the 4 hour yesterday, late yesterday evening, and no bullish divergence on any of the other timelines. This one just appeared on the 4 hour. The 4 hour turned and up it went, pumped away, yeah, 22% pump or something. And so let's look at what effect that's had on the TA, yeah. So when I zoom here, I had the wedge here. So what I'm doing is I'm going to shift to an expanding blowhorn, yeah. And you can see the potentials here again. Potential breakdown. Equally is we could go up and do a double top potentially. Or we could break up for that 3, 4, 5, and we're heading up to somewhere around the 382 at 64, possibly pushing it all the way up to late 60s. Let's say 70 is a max. Yeah. Now the reason why I would say that is when you zoom out like this, is you can see the peak here. Yeah. So there's an arc. I'll show you this now. There's a couple of arcs here, yeah. So here's an arc here, yeah. So there's one there, yeah. So what you get here is mountain peak, second drop, third drop, final peak, final bounce, final retrace, and then the spill. So here's the spill. So now the next arc is here. Okay, much bigger one. So now you have the drop down here, dead cat bounce. Now I'm not sure whether this is mid-range high or this is mid-range high. Probably this one here, yeah. Or sorry, resistance peak, mid-range high here. So this is second spike, third spike, double top, first drop, bunch of sideways. Anyway, this is now pumping for. This is now pumping for mountain peak. So now mountain peak has a tendency to do between the golden pocket and the 786. So we take the fib from the bottom here and we put it to the top here. Okay. So from the bottom to the top. And if we look here is look at that, right to the 065, right to the golden pocket, yeah. Right to the golden pocket. Let me take this out of the way. Just clear it out a little bit. So it's going right to the golden pocket. So we could get a pump up to the 786, which is 64. Yeah, it could do that. It just depends on the pressure. There's a lot of pressure coming down, which I'm gonna show you. Yeah. So we could be having that. We could be having that pump. And if that's the case, I reckon that this here is resistance peak here. Because there's a tendency for mountain peak to come back up to resistance peak. Basically a 76 drop, and then a 50 to 88% retrace. So we're for sure already at the 50 plus mark. Is where we get that last bit in, yeah. So now that's that explained, yeah. So why might it go there up here or not? So actually I'll put this back. If I show you the pattern for the breakout, let's say this is mountain peak, is mountain peak, is we come down here, third drop, final peak, final bounce, final retrace, and if it's going to break down, down it goes, or up it goes, whichever one. Okay, and I've mentioned the targets before. Is we'll look at them again. We're just look. I don't want to get too. I've a lot to say, so we could measure these targets, but we're just looking at the potential. Yeah. Equally, if it came up to here, it would still be the same story. We still have to come down for third drop. Yeah. So mountain peak, third drop. Again, it can be a shallow one. Bounce back off this. Final peak, final bounce, and that's we're going up. That's one potential there, yeah. If we're coming down, again, mountain peaks here, you get a deeper third drop, final peak, final bounce, final retrace, and then we're coming down this way, yeah. So that's essentially the play of it, yeah. So now we gotta look in here and see what's going on. Why? What effect did this have? Yeah. So now one of my thoughts about why this may be mountain peak is look at the bearish channel here. Yeah. And also one of my arguments for that is going to drop another level is this looks like on this channel here on this way down. This looks like a mid-range high, and this is the final lift. The pump before the dump, yeah. Equally, it's already tested it here. Now I know there's wick throughs here, so for sure there could be a wick through. And if you look at support and resistance lines here, there's a very strong one here that hasn't tested it, so it could come up and test this yellow channel again at 53, which wouldn't be a new high. It could come up and test at 58. Which will be testing this, but there's a range here. You can see another support and resistance level here at 65. So you could get that extra push and it come up within this range from 58 to 65. So yeah. So that definitely is a very strong possibility. And again, it'll be coming back down for its third drop. Yeah. Excuse me. So, but I suppose the point I'm trying to make is that it's going to have to start hitting off these. Yeah. Now there's other reasons why that may not get up there, and I'll show you it within the MAs. Yeah. So now yesterday, if you look at all these smaller lines here, the red lines are 4-hour support and resistance, and the white lines are 1 hour. Now, if you're wondering how I did it, is how do you know the difference? Well, I go on to the 4-hour. And then I look at all the support and resistance lines, the most prominent ones on the 4-hour, and then I mark those red. And then I go on the 1 hour, and I look at all the most prominent support and resistance lines on the 1 hour, and I make all them white. So the red ones can be a support and resistance for the 1 hour and the 4-hour, but the white ones are only 1 hour. So it's a very good way, simple way of doing it, but very effective, yeah. So you can see that from this pump, see the 4-hour here, pumped all the way up to this 4-hour, wicked, came back, and back tested to this 4-hour. So you can see that price. These are moving in 4-hour moves. Yeah. So yesterday is look, we got this rejection the day before, and then yesterday look came back down and then pumped, and then back tested, and we're back pretty much at this 4-hour again. Yeah. So you can see the 4-hour moves. So now we got to look at what's what's happening here after this move. Yeah. Now for that, I've done this. Okay, just to give a bit of back testing, this is the 15-minute. This is the 15-minute timeline. Previously, I did the same thing with the RSI. This is the RSI, and what I did is that I went in on the 1 hour and the 4 hour, and I went back through time, a long time, years back, and here's the overbought line here, yeah, and then here's all the levels of support and resistance within the 1 hour and the 4 hour that price action has done over many years. So that if you see the RSI get up here, it's super topped out. It's very seldom it gets up here, and it gives you a good indication that the more and more it goes up here, is you know that there's a correction coming in soon. Because sometimes you just see price going up and up and up and up, and you're just like, Jesus, how long is this going to go? But if you find the 1 hour heading all the way up here, or the 4 hour, you know that it's going to top out very soon. Excuse me. And there's going to be a big reset. So this just gives you nuances of how far it goes into the overbought. But then you can also do it for smaller time frames. So this is the 15-minute. So now the reason why I've done is because look how high it's gone. It's gone up, like this is the highest one here. So it went up to the second highest and halfway through to the highest. It doesn't get there very often. So you can see the pattern of the move here, yeah. So now when you back test just a little bit, we're going to back 6 months or so, a little less, is we can see when it goes that high is what happens afterwards, yeah. Just as a back test, so that we get an idea of potentially what this move is going to do. So you can see it here, big spike, and again it came down here, and look, it dropped below on this one. Equally, actually, this one's quite high as well. It dropped below here as well, yeah. But let's just stick to ones that get this far, get as far as here. Okay. Now here's this one here, and again all the way right up here. So you can see the move there, but it's what happens afterwards. So you can see that this is part of this bigger move, and from this point here is it came back. This is the final impulse. It came back and broke to 786. If you put it all the way to the bottom, it did a 0.5. It came back to a 0.5, yeah. But this final impulse, this is the one that got it all the way up here. So we're just looking at from the bottom of the RSI on the 15, which is here, all the way back up to its overbought, yeah. But you can see then the retrace. The point I'm trying to make is when it goes like this is what's the general behavior afterwards, yeah. And it's the general, so we're not picking one over another. We're just looking at the general pattern, yeah. The examples so far have all gone broken down lower, yeah. This one here, look, here it is. So you got this pump. Again, it looks like an 0.5, maybe slightly more. But now this one goes up higher. Okay, so you can see this is on an ascending. So this is one that you see it's a breakup, part of a breakup, as opposed to a breakdown. And then this one here, again, look at this one. This one got right to the top. Again, you don't see that very often. It's the only one we have of the ones I go through now. But you can see the pump. Now, this is the only one that I have of the 7 or 8 examples I have. Is this one did a bearish divergence, dropped down and went higher. So you can see it topped out here in the RSI. It dropped down and it came back up one more time. And look how weak it is here. But look, it pumped higher. So this did a bearish divergence and went higher again. So we could see a bearish divergence, but then look what happened afterwards. It broke down, and then again it came lower again, yeah. And it looks like a close to a 786 of this bottom here. Yeah. Again, I'm not going to measure everything because we can be here for a long time. So now here again, just look, we got close up here, gets the pump, you get a correction, go sideways, little lift. Now again, this is a breakout. This is an interesting one because we are on a breakout. So look at where this is before the breakout. You could say this is a breakout too, and then look, the pump before the dump. The pump before the dump. Okay. Now this one, again, look how high this one goes. And this is at the bottom of a dump. This is at the bottom of a dump. But still, you see it tops out, and then again it does a drop down, and then there's lots of sideways, and it eventually finds its way lower. Yeah, a lot of sideways there. Okay. There's not too many more. This is April. This is going back as far as April. So you get in the picture. There's only one example so far where it did this, it went up this high and then continued on up afterwards. Yeah. So I don't be over biased about that, but just as examples, there's only one so far that actually went up. After it did its 0.5 correction, it continued on up. And we also have one example that did a bearish divergence, is it pumped one more level, but then it had a massive drop. Yeah. So here's this one here. Look how high this came. This is a really high one. And again, we have that looks like a 382 to be honest. And then it came up and did there's a bearish divergence. You got a little higher of a lift, and then we have, look, this sideways, and then a drop, and then a spill down. Yeah. So you'll notice that an awful lot of these are the pump before the dump. The pump before the dump. Again, look at this, how high this one is. Look at that massive pump. And again, does its correction, and then this one continues on up. So again, this is the second one that while it did its correction, it then ended up continuing on up. So I will put it to there. Again, it did a 786 correction. Yeah. Okay, and then here's this one here. Yeah. Now this is slightly lower. We'll have a look at it. Again, did its 786 correction, and again, eventually it found its way heading on up. Yeah. Okay, so you get the idea. Yeah. So now when we come back to where we are, is what can we expect? What can we expect from this? And for that, I'm going to go into the MAs and have a look. Yeah, I'm going to go into the MAs and have a look. Now let me just reset. Let me just reset this. So I'll go back to there. I'll come to here, and it is this one. Is it this one? It is this one. Let me bring this one here. Okay, so there's that there. And then I want, yes, there's the stock. And then here's the MACD. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to point out something here on the, I'm going to go to the 4 hour here. What is the 4 day? The 4 hour. There we go. So now this is an RSI, but it's a divergence indicator. Okay, it's after changing. It's after changing there. So you can see yesterday is a bullish divergence appeared, and didn't appear on any of the other timelines. It just appeared on this one, and then pretty soon afterwards up it went. Yeah. Now, earlier on, half an hour ago, when I was looking at this, there was a bearish divergence here. A bearish divergence had appeared here. Yeah. Now, price action looks like it's yeah, the 4 hour was red earlier on, and it's after gone green. Yeah. It's gone green at the moment. So, okay, so that bearish divergence is disappeared for a moment. Yeah. So we'll see if it returns. Yeah. But you can essentially see that price action is here. Oh, sorry. No, we leave it. It's gone. If it comes back, we'll look at it. Yeah. Okay. So now is one of the things that I was mindful of that needs to be reset is in the bottom right on the second here, the stock RSI here needed to be reset. Okay. At the same time, the second left here, the blue lines, the white line with the blue stripes, look how much it's reset the 4 hour RSI to the top as well. Yeah. But the 4 hour stock needed to be reset to the top. Okay. But now even more so was the later time frames, the 6 hour needed a reset as well. So look how much this move has pulled the 6 hour back up, because the 6 hour is deep in the oversold here. Equally, so this is one of the benefits to the price at this move here, and what it's done for the stock RSI, because these hours needed a reset. Here's the 8 hour being pulled up. Now you'll see on price action, you see the 8 hour doing a sideways move here. Is a lot of the push down is when it's at the bottom here. A lot of the pressure is at the bottom. By the time it turns, the pressure is releasing. So once it starts to go up, it has a tendency to move fast. So you can have, like, look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 8 hour candles down here. But once it turns and starts to go up, it doesn't take very many candles for it to get back to the top again. And then again, it can do another sideways for 3, 4, 5 cycles and then come back down again. So once it starts to move up, it can move fast, especially when a move like this pulls it up fast. Yeah. So you can see that 8 hours is a lot of space now, because they were a problem for price action to move down to the next level. And then look at the 9 hour. It's a bit laggy. There's the 10. Now the 12, how much is the 12? See, the 12 is coming back into out of the oversold here, yeah. But you can see it's done a little lift, and again it can do a little wave here, and potentially the second wave here can be really deep compared to the first one. Again, if it's going to go down, it does need to catch a breath. So just the 80 an hour. And then I just go to the daily. So it's after giving a lot of space to the RSIs that needed it. And then here's the daily. The daily is still pushing down here. And you can look at the daily. It's done 2 waves here. There's only so many waves that it can do here before it will want to find its way back down to the bottom here. Yeah. So, and equally, if you go over to the far bottom left, is you can see there's a bearish divergence on the daily here, and it hasn't properly activated. What I mean by that is that there it is there. If you look at price action, here is the bearish divergence, and you got a big pump from it. This hasn't corrected. So this bearish divergence it actually hasn't come down and corrected yet. This one here, yeah. So now that's one of the things that's given is quite a bit of space for continuation down. Now it really did change some of the daily MAs, which again we're going to go through now. But I'm going to go to the month first. So you can see the spill on the month. And we got this pump the other day, took it up to 55.71, right up to the 10 MA on the month, wicked right to it, and again it's been rejected since. Yeah. Now the month is turning tomorrow, so now if you look at this, is this 5 MA tomorrow potentially could take a turn up, and that would be a very good indication for a pump. That'd be a very good indication for a pump. What we might get is a back test to the 5, and then a bounce and a pump up from there. Yeah. So if that was the case, just on where it is now, if I put the fib on it, there's the 5. Again, it could be a 0.5 back test again, back to 41.76. 41.76. Just as an example, yeah. But we've got to see what this 5 does tomorrow. Equally, the 10 is going to be coming down. The 10 is going to be coming down like a hammer as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what this does, yeah. On the weekly, actually I'll go to the 2 weekly, because the 2 weekly changed recently as well, yeah. Actually I'll do the weekly first, because this makes a bit more sense. The weekly is, you saw the pump, and then you see the rejection here, which was came back down, hit off the 20 EMA. Again, you can see that this is nearly turned green again. Yeah. At the same time, down bottom, on the bottom, second to the right, the stock. Look how the stock is high here. Yeah. So it's heading more and more into the overbought, and this is on the weekly. So now, when you look at price action here, now this is the peak of the bull run. Yeah, this is the peak of the bear market 2017. So this is a lot of time. But look at the weekly. Here is the top of the bull run. Here, we drop down to here. So the weekly takes it down to here. It heads back up. Here it is topping out again. It finds its way down. So there's the bottom of the weekly RSI again. Now look at this. This is a shorter move, takes it all the way back up, and then look at this big drop all the way back down. Okay. Now the weekly again is back up at the top again. Okay. So again it can stay up there for a while, but you can see though that potentially the weekly is suggesting that there's another drop down. Yeah. And there's another drop down. Now there's no doubt it could do something like this. See this here? Just to play both sides. Look, here's the bottom of the previous bear market. So where is this on the RSI? We go back to the RSI, and we go. Okay, so look, there's a peak there. See this here? There's a peak here, and we get this drop. See this here? It drops down here. So we get this drop all the way down, and then it starts to find its way up all the way to here. So you can see that before this drop, it peaks out again. Okay, and we get a drop, which I believe that we are in this space. We're coming down for one of these, the final blow off top, and then we're going to start to head on up. Yeah. So I do believe that's where we are. So you can see the weekly, sometime pretty soon, this is going to want to come down. Yeah. And it's already done. You see this big drop, sideways, found its way up. You know, so I'm not sure how far further it's going to get up before it's time to come down. You know. Now again, it may only do a correction. It might just do a correction. It might just do a double bottom, or we could have the final blow off top, because we have, if you look at it. You're looking for 3 levels. Here's one level down, long one, but still one level down. Now we have another level down. So that's 2. There's always 3. I don't have a third one yet. So it looks like the third one is due. Okay. And now, just another thing while we're here, is you see this drop, this level? No, let's actually do this. I'll do this here. It's clearer. Yeah. I was on the weekly. Okay, so here we are again. Okay, bigger screen so you can see. So you can see here this drop, and then the retrace. So let's put a fib on it just to see what it did. So here's the this one here is I nearly did that wrong. Actually I will do this. Sorry. I'm gonna do the whole there's the top, there's the bottom. So here's the impulse, the whole move, and then the correction down. Put some of my other drawings on. Is you can see that the correction down here has come as far as the golden pocket bouncing off it here. Yeah, potentially we could have another drop down to the 702, 25, or else come down to the 786 at 19.5 or so. And that would touch the wedge. See the yellow wedge? Touch the yellow wedge again. And that would be the final blow off top. But now I'm going to measure this move here and its correction. Yeah. And I know there's a load of lines on, but bear with me. So now, just from the top here down to here, this is the level down, this is the level. And the correction up, it comes back up to nearly a 786, just below the 786, before it heads on down again. So now you know why I'm showing you this, yeah. So this is one level, bottom, correction, and then heads on down again. Because now we're here, and look, remember that box I showed you? Remember that box I showed you earlier on, the green box? Okay. I showed you this green box earlier on. So now the level here the question is, does the level stop here, or does the level stop down here? Okay. Make sure I got this right. Make sure I got this right. My apologies. Here. My apologies. No, my apologies. Gonna get it here. There you go. Okay, so you can see the wick through here, and then the bottom, and then the bottom here. So now the bottom of this green line is a support and resistance, and then equally this is a support and resistance. So you can see here on the wicks up you can see the resistance, you know, and then here on the way down you can see the support, yeah. So really what I'm trying to say is that on one level, now we have the next level. So here's the break, the spill of it. Here's the bottom, and here it comes back up. So if this did from here to here did pretty much a 786, this is really what I'm trying to get at, yeah. When we put the fibs on, again, from the bottom here, let's say to the top. Let's see, look, I think I see this thing. I think I'm coming up too high here. I actually think it's about here. I think it's about here. See the support and resistance? Basically within this range. Within this range, I'm actually going to put it here. There we go. Within this range, the level here is in this range. So I'm going to put it to the top of this level, yeah. So that now when does one level finish and another level start? You can see it's within this range. There's a transition. So I'm going to put the fib at the top of this level to include all of that range. So we're giving it this correction its maximum potential. There you go. You get what I'm doing. I know there's a lot of lines here. I can keep check, so I'll just talk you through it. So now here's the smaller fib here. Yeah, you see it move. See when I move it here. So now I'll put it here. As you can see, so far the correction has wicked through the 786. So on this level, with regards marking out the levels, this is already done at 786 correction. It doesn't need to go any higher. It can do, but it doesn't need to with regards its correction. Yeah, before it turns around and does its spill for the final leg down. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. So now, why am I also suggesting that this also might be the top? Okay, and again, I am being biased. I'm telling you now, I am being biased. I'm still telling you it could go all the way up. And to be honest, I'll make two arguments now. This is the second week, which again turned on the 26th of September. So now, look what this wicked up to. This wicked up to the 20 MA. And on the 2 week, the 20 MA is coming down very, very strongly. Equally the 20 EMA and the 55 EMA. It's a lot of MAs, strong MAs to get through. Yeah. And if you look at the 5 and 10 here, while they're turned up, is these guys are coming down stronger. Yeah. Now there is an argument for the 50 here. Is you see the way the 50 heads up like this? If it does go up another level, I would suggest it won't break 70.55. It won't break this. It might go up to this. What we could have is a blow off top to this before we get our drop down. Now, the reason why I don't think it will is because it comes way too much back into this level. It's coming back up into this zone way too much. It's even breaking this zone way too much. So I don't think it will. Can it? Yes. Will it? I'm not so sure. But I've allowed for it in my trading. I can go up there and I can handle it, you know. Excuse me. But that's my argument for that. Yeah. Now here's another thought with the EMAs on the weekly. Back to the weekly. See the white is the 20 EMA and the navy there, the blue, is the 55 EMA. You can see where it crossed over and it did a spill. Okay, so the majority of the times when you get that up or down, when you get the spill, is you have to go look at the trigger one. What crossing over? Because there'll be other timelines here, but this is the trigger one. You see it on the weekly. The daily it triggered at the same time, yeah. But you can see on the weekly you got the drop. And what happens is you always get a back test to the 55. And again, if the 55 can hold, reject it, you get another push down. You get two waves down, yeah. If it can break through. It can break through, and we're going to look at the EMAs, shorter time frames, in a few minutes. But equally, it can get a rejection and then push it down. It does test the 55. It hasn't hit it at the moment, and sometimes it can test to the 50, the green one here. So again, the 50 here would be 63.78. That's an argument for it going up to 64 or so. There is definitely that potential still sitting there. Yeah. Get a rejection, head back down. It's got to find its way. It's got to find its way back up to it again. It doesn't mean a greater spill. It doesn't necessarily mean a greater spill. It doesn't necessarily mean a greater spill. Where's it going? Because let's say it come up to here, it can get rejected. It doesn't have to go lower. It can come around and head up again, and it'll be something like this. So it could come down and do a double bottom. It doesn't actually have to break it. Yeah, I do believe it will, just from the point of view of 3 levels down, is we haven't had our third level yet. Just from that simple equation. Yeah. Okay, so now it changed a lot of the dailies were looking quite dumpy, and this pump is after changing them. So this is where it gets a bit of a challenge to read. Yeah. So you can see on this is the 6th day. So you see the pump, a nice retrace, and now look, it's come back up again. This is the 200 MA. So the 6-day changed on the 28th yesterday. So yesterday, no, day before, 2 days ago. But you can see this pumped up to the 200 on the 6-day here. But you can see here's the 55 and the 50. So there's a lot of resistance here. There's a challenge to get above this, yeah. But again, look at the turn on the 5, the 10, and the 220s. 20 EMA, 20 EMA. So there's definitely a push and pull going on, yeah. And the yellow is the VWAP. The VWAP, you see, is a little, it's lifted. It was turned down, so that is an argument for more pressure coming. Same with the 5-day. Look at that lovely rejection on the 5-day. Is again, there's the 200. Here's the 55s, 50 and 55. You can see that the 5 here, it came back down, wicked off it, and again you can see a push up. So all these guys are pretty eager. Now the 5 here is starting to move a little bit further away from the 10. So watch that as we move in on the dailies. Yeah, the 4-day turned last night. So this one turned last night. So again, look at all that pump, and again look how the 5 is starting to move further away from the others. Yeah, the further away it goes, the weaker it gets, the easier it is to turn. So you can see the 55 leveled out here. So you can see there's a real battle here at the 55, but the VWAP has turned up. This pump yesterday hasn't had its correction. So you can see that while the VWAP is up, the more this pump corrects itself, it can pull that VWAP down. And the 50 coming down here, see the 50 coming down like this? The 50 coming down here, you get price action back below 46.5, and then you're going to have a battle in the next few days between the 50 and the 5. Yeah. Again, if it can hold and pull down, it may pump up. It may go up to the 200 here, and again, here we are at 65. So you can see the battle that's going on, yeah, on the 4-day. Now we zoom in a little more to the 3-day. And again, here's the 277 EMA, and I think this is the 400 EMA. Yeah, it's the 400. So again, you can see that the 277 EMA is holding firm here at the moment. On the 3-day, which is 3 days, and then this turned 2 days ago, so 6, 7, 8 days, you got wick throughs, and then it gets pushed back below this. So it's holding firm at the moment. But look, you can see the 5 coming up here. So the 5 is coming up strong, but again, it's starting to separate itself from the 10 and the 20s. Yeah. So now this is the 50. The 10 and the 20s have broke the 50. So that's a good argument for the pump. Okay, so now on the 2-day, you can see is the VWAP has turned down. We got a pull down for 4 days, and yesterday we got a pull down, you know, and then it popped up, yeah. And what that did is this is where it snapped the 5 up, because the 5 was down. This is what I don't like about this, with regards to my short, is the 5 was the 5 was going sideways here, looking like it was going to turn, and here's the 5 after snapping back up with the VWAP, yeah. But again, this is the pi cycle 111. You can see the resistance that's playing out here. This is the 100 MA, the purple, and this is the 144 weighted WMA, yeah. So now 2 days is, again, at the moment, this is, it looks like it's support, yeah. But there's a correction here. Remember, we were looking at that pump and the correction. Is we have to remember, when I look at this, I go, oh, geez, it's going to pump. But then I think, well, hang on, we've had our pump. We saw that every one of those 15-minute pumps that pump so high has a correction. So at a minimum, this is going to have to come back down to at least an 05 at 46. But the vast majority, eventually found their way down to a 702 to a 786, which is back down at 44 and 43.50. Okay, 44, 43.50. So let me just put a line in here. There's 44. Let's just do 44. 44. Okay, so there's 44. Back down here, yeah. So now price action. As much as this looks pumpy, price action is probably going to find its way back down to at least, or thereabouts, 44. So now that would that would over the next 2 days snap the VWAP and the 5 back down. So now we'll see in 2 days time if this comes down. So that's not as scary as it looks, I believe, because of what I showed you earlier on. So we'll see. So there's a battle going on. So now the 1 day, and again, look at the 5 here is getting further away from the 10. So what we really want to see for my short is this 5 on the 2 day snap down. Okay. And here's the 1 day. Okay, so the 1 day is the first thing I'm going to point out is, again, there's the, what's that? I forget what these, I put these in a while ago. The 1000 MA, yeah? So bounced off the 1000 MA. More importantly is the 200 MA here, and you can see it was on top, and it broke through, back tested, pushed down, and again, look, the 20 EMA. So the 20 EMA rejected, tested again, rejected the 4 hour, snapped it up. Okay, so now we've got to deal with that. Now look at the form of the 5. The 5 come up, turn down. So this is normal form movement. The 10 comes up, and the 10 breaks through the 5, while the 5 breaks through the 10, which is what's happening here. Yeah, and you can see that the 5 has gone sideways at the moment. Yeah, so while it's gone sideways, it hasn't gone up. Okay, so there's still a pressure coming down from the 5. So the 5 and 10 in its correction format is still following the form. Okay, as it stands. Is the one to really beat is this 20 EMA. That's the one that's really holding it up, yeah. So now we talked about it going to 44. Okay, so 44 is here. Okay, so again, it can still come back to 44, and then the 20 EMA is still pushing it up. So that is something to be aware of. And over the next, if it takes a day or two for it to get down there, is this EMA could be up at 44 by the time it gets down. We could have another test of the 20, and again get a rejection again, yeah, or not, because when something keeps getting tested, it's also a sign that it's going to get broken. It's been tested twice. If it comes down and gets a third test, it's telling you that, price action is telling you that it really wants to have a go at this. So we'll see. So that's the daily, and then the VWAP is up here, but I do think on the shorter time frames, the VWAP is hanging in there as resistance. But we'll have a look. So you can see on the daily the 5 crossing over the 10. So they sort of neutralize each other when they're close like this. Is they sort of weaken each other. They weaken each other when they do that. So now I'm going to fly through the rest pretty fast because I don't want to be here all day looking at these. Yeah. But you can see the reason I'm showing the monthly, the weekly, and the dailies is because they're the ones that are in control at the moment. Yeah, they're really applying a lot of pressure. We're down low in price action. We're at the bottom, or we're heading for a final bottom. So in that, if you think about a wave, is the bigger wave is the longer price action goes on, the more dominant the bigger waves become. So when we're at the extreme of a price action, when you're at the top of a bear market or a bull market, it's the longer time frames that take over, and they are playing out their final moves before they switch. So you can see why there can be a lot of sideways here while the weeks and the days are applying pressure, yeah, and things get drawn out. Okay, so the 80 an hour, again, look, now see, this is interesting, is look at the 5 here. Well, the 5 turned, it's not racing on up. What's leading this is the VWAP. So now this is an indication of the algorithm, the market makers, is when the VWAP is controlling price action, i.e. the 5 isn't pushing this, the VWAP is when that happens, you always know it's the algorithm. That's what I've noticed. Sometimes you'll see a massive pump and the VWAP just keeps staying ahead and it's pulling everything else up. That's the market makers doing a move. That's the algorithm. That's the whales pushing, and the rest of the market then has to follow. So now this move here is a market maker move. It's a whale move, because look where the VWAP is. Look where the 5 is. So the 5's got to do a bit of work to catch up with the VWAP here, which gives it space to actually correct. Okay. I'm going to just flick through these. So there's the 12-hour. Similar situation. They're all gathering up here. But look, the 5 isn't really racing up, you know. But we'll see. We'll see. Now I'll just go to the 8-hour. And again, you can see the VWAP. See the VWAP, it is 12:34, 9. Okay, I'll do the 9 because the last one to turn was the 9-hour. So look, there's the VWAP going sideways. Here's the 5 coming up. So the only one sort of moving up proper is the 5. The 20 is was coming down a little bit. You can see it's they're neutralizing each other a little bit here, yeah. So then I'll go to the 6-hour. Again, you can see the pressure on the VWAP. The VWAP in the 6-hour is, I would suggest that this was sideways, now slightly up a little bit. You see it's under pressure to hold where it is, yeah. And you can see the 10 or the 5 coming up here, yeah. The 5 is the important one in the sense of if the 5 starts to turn, it'll turn the rest of them. So you can see the 5 is coming up through different hours. Here's the 4-hour. So now I think the 4-hour is the important one because it's the 4-hour that triggered this. So now if the 4-hour triggered this, is we've got to see what happens with the 5 when the 5 gets up here. Will the 5 and the 4-hour turn? If it does, and we know we're in for that bigger move down. Yeah, that's what I believe, that we get the 4-hour to turn. But are any of them turning? Here's the 3-hour. Again, the 3-hour is, you can see the 3-hour has been pushing this up. Again, here's the VWAP, here's the 5. So this one is a little red at the moment. This, it's hard to tell. This may turn red, pull it down so that the next turn of the 3-hour, it pulls it down. Now that will be the turn of the 12-hour. The next 3-hour turn is the turn of the 12 hours, the half day. Let's just go and have a quick look at what the 12 hours again. So we look at this, there's the 5 well below here. Even on the next one, let's say it's even up here, is I think it'll be hard for the VWAP to keep going up if the lower time frames are pulling down and the 5 isn't even up here for support, yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. The 2-hour. The 2-hour, the 5 turned down here a little bit and now look, it's gone sideways. So again, as much as price action is above these guys are going sideways parallel with each other. So as much as price action is above them, you don't see there's an eagerness for it to continue yet. Again, look, the 10 here is starting to come up, but still a bit away. Now the 1-hour. 1-hour. This is where I'm like, oh God, what's going on here? So look, the turn on the 5 here, great. Okay, here's it holds it here. Then the 10 comes up, which you expect the 10 can push it up a little bit. Yeah, that's it. The 10. Look, the 10 turns back down. Okay, so the 10 turns down, the 5 turns up. This is part of the turning formation. I suppose the only thing that's a bit worrisome here is that the 5's gone up pretty high. Where are you going? Get back down here. So it's gone. Now I think as the other hours are the 5's coming up, and the other hours are pushing it up. But you can see the VWAP's not going with it at the moment. But definitely want to see this 5 take a turn down. If this 5 takes a turn down and starts to break through the 10 again, I think that's a good sign for taking it down another level. Yeah, excuse me. With regards, remember the 15 minutes is none of them when it topped out, none of them broke it. Oh, sorry, tell a lie. I think we got one double top. We got one drop down to an 05. Sorry, 2 drops down to an 05, and it did a double top, and then it came back down. The vast majority didn't break this high again. Yeah. So now the question is when we talked about it going to 59 or 64, this here, if it does a double top, it can certainly pump up and do another blow off. Yeah. And again, I might do a double top at the top here, but there's no way this is gonna. Just with this impulse here, just top with this impulse here, there's no way this impulse here, if it does another like a bearish divergence, there's no way that bearish divergence is going to go all the way up to 64 on this move. It's not going to do it. Not on this impulse. It may need others to go up. It won't do it on this one. I'd be surprised if it can get up as far as a double top, because that's still a fair bit of a journey for this impulse to do up here. Yeah. Again, it may come up. It may come up to 52, 53. If it does, and then it'll come back down for its correction. Yeah. So I hope you understand what I'm saying there. Okay, so now I don't want to navel gaze too far on this. That's the one. Let's just have a look in and see, is with regards to the other MAs, are they the half hour? Is the half hour coming down there? So remember we talked about the 5, we need to see that 5 starting to turn down. So you can see on the half hour it's attempted a couple of times. You can see there's an impulse going on here, and possibly this is the top of the impulse and it's just finding its way back down again. Maybe if you look at the 20 here, look at the 20 has stopped coming up and it's starting to go sideways. The 20 looks like it already wants to go down. So there's an indication that the 20 is already done, and it's just the 5 and 10. So if the 5 can break the 10, it looks like the 10 might go with it, yeah. All right, could be another level, but you get what I'm saying. You can see the battle going on. When we go into the 15 minute, again, here's this impulse. So we'll see what it wants to do. Is if I gave this, I went to the 5 actually for a bit more nuance, yeah. If I just talk through the waves here, yeah, is you got the 1, 2, looks like a W, is we could have a 3, 4, 5, or we could have the 3 scoops, 1 scoop, 2 scoop, 3 scoop, 4, and then 5. That could take it up to a double top, yeah, possibly. But at the same time, look at all the MAs gathering here, yeah. So once these spill, you get a breakthrough. It will create a nice spill. So now, okay, I am just going to go back into the 5 minute here just to have a quick look at where the stock is, yeah, because that'll give us an indication of what's going on here. So look on the 5 minute, the second on the bottom, the second on the right, is the 5 minute has topped out. It's topped out again, and that may have a pump here, and then it'll want to come down. More importantly, just with regards to local movement, is the 15. Okay, so look, you can see the 15 topped out here, got pulled down, lifted back up, got pulled down, lifted back up. That's the 15 is bottomed out here. Okay, so now is that sort of indicating that there could be a pump up here. So if this is the 3 scoops, 1, 2, 3, and we have a drop down, this could take it down here, and then the final blow off top could take this back to the top again, yeah. So the 15 here is bottoming out, which indicates it will want to go back to the top. Okay, but now how much gusto does that have? If we look at a half hour, there's the half hour topping out here, came down, back up here, is again, there may be another move up, and then you can see the half hour will want to come back down. So it certainly looks like there's a bit more movement to the top, and then the half hour will pull it down as well. But there's the hour. How's the hour in this? Again, you can see that it topped out here. Here's the hour. Here it pulled down, and even though this is moving back up, the stock is actually moving down. Yeah. So you can see a pressure from the hour coming down. So again, it may lift it a little bit, but the pressure is coming down. If you look at the RSI, the white one here, second from the left, you can see how high it went into the overbought. It dropped back below it and it's touching it again. So there's a pressure. And if you go to the left, now we have, see that red line here, bottom left. Now we have a bearish divergence on the hour. Okay, so now we're starting to get divergences on the hour here. So that divergence is from here to here. So on the RSI, is look at price action, the level here, and it goes up. But look here on the RSI, the price action, and then the RSI is lower. So it's showing a bearish divergence on the hour. Did the 4 hour reappear? Did the 4 hour no, the 4 hour bearish divergence hasn't reappeared again. But it's on the hour. What about the half hour? Okay, there it is in the half hour. So when you see these things, is normally when you see it on the 15-minute, the 5 and 15 minutes normally a good sign, yeah. When you see it on the half hour, there it is on the 15. When you see it on the half hour and the hour, you go, okay, look, that's looking pretty good now. Normally you get it on the hour, it's a really clear sign something's going to happen. However, is the daily and the weeklies are moving here. So in price action now, you can get divergences on the 1 hour and the 4 hour, and they don't always trigger immediately or soon after. Normally you can get quite a few of them on the hour before it eventually moves, simply because it's the daily and the weekly that is pushing price action. So that's it. That's the difference, yeah. Where if we were in a normal consolidation phase, getting those divergences on the hour will be a really strong signal. Where here it's an indicator, but maybe you might want to see it a couple of times before it has an effect. But on this one, I think it's pretty strong. So just anyway, I hope you understand what I mean. Okay, so that's the battle. That's the battle that's going on. So to me, if I look at, give me a simple chart here, yeah, and if I put it on the 4 hour, just take this off now, is of the previous price actions, when we got the pump like this, you can actually see it there. Okay, so two things is potentially a 1-2 I'm looking at the impulse here, yeah. I think this could be a bit of an argument. What I'm looking for is a 1-2, 1-2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And I don't see it in here. So as an impulse, potentially, is we could end up having that there, yeah. We could have that next, that lift up. We may need that, yeah. Because I went in as far as the 15 and I don't see the 3, 4. There it is on the hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it does, just for this, it does look like we might be going up into the 5. Could be heading up to 52, 53. And then I put on the 4 hour. I put it on the 4 hour. Possibly. And the reason why I'm putting it here is just at this level here. You can see this level here, yeah. Okay, that may happen. We might get that. We might get that. We might get that. Divergence for a pump here, yeah. So if you're looking at it when you look at it like that. Okay. And there's that level again. Okay. All right, that looks like there's an argument for another bit of movement up. Yeah, so remember, as I was saying here, you got the 1, 2, this scoop, 1 scoop, 2 scoop, possibly 3 scoop, and we get a retrace back down for 4, and then we get our final 5. Maybe we gotta watch it. Okay, so I'm nearly done. Here's the EMAs, yeah. So you can see it topped out here on the 5 minute. Topped out here in the 5 minute. You can see the 5 minute, the 20 EMA here in the 55. It nearly crossed over, got rejected, and you can see it's lifting, yeah. So you can see that lift is coming through. On the 15 is the same. See, it's lifting here. Here's the half hour bottom. 15 is top right. Bottom left is the half hour here, and then bottom right is the hour. Is the hour here. So you can see now this pump yesterday is, if you look at the hour, or actually telling like the half hour, bottom left, is the half hour had crossed over, and then this just snapped it up, crossed it over, and the hour is, you can see the hour, it just snapped it up, yeah. So now I want to show you something here on the EMAs, yeah. And I'm going to go back to a quick look at the monthly. I know I want to have a look at some of the weeklies, just having a quick look at the monthly. So you can see on the monthly, the 20 EMA is at 59.12. So again, possibility that we come up and hit that. When we go to the weekly, again, I've showed you this previously, but we'll do it again, is just quickly, is there nearly hit the 55 on the weekly. The 2, and also remember, crossed over, dropped, back test. Here's the weekly crossing over, and again the back test rejected at the 20 EMA on the weekly. Is this price action? Remember, it may come up. Remember, we get this little lift up. It may come up and hit the 2 week again at 52.60. So we may be coming up to hit the 52.60, yeah. So now, when we look at the daily, okay, so here's the daily. This is the reverse now. So the daily has crossed over, okay, and pumped, okay, and then again the same thing is when it pumps is you generally get a back test to the 55. So even if this is going to head on up, is normally when you get the pump, you get the back test to the 55, which is at 39.07 at the moment, yeah. So normally that's what happens. So again, just to remind you, here's the weekly, the first push away, the back test. If it gets rejected, it gets pushed down again. If it breaks it, then it breaks it. So we go to the daily. Is you can see here where the daily broke here. There's also where the weekly broke around the same time. Look, it dropped down, pushed away, it back tested, it got rejected. It's after testing it again, and now it broke through. So now it didn't break through on the weekly, but it broke through on the daily. So look, the daily's after breaking through here. You got the pump. Here's the first pump. Is now the back test to the 55. That's what it likes to do. And if it gets rejected, again, we're coming down, and the weekly is going to push it down another level. Is if the daily comes and back tests to the 55 and then holds it, is then we have that bigger pump up. So you can see between the weekly and the daily, you can see the play of it. Okay, so now is if it holds the form, is even if it pops up a little more to 52.60, even if it pops up to 64, is we've got the pump. And to be honest, this is the pump, and this seems to be the back test. But maybe it needs to go another level. I really do think this is it. Could be wrong. Is we got to have a back test to. At the moment, the daily is at 39.5. Yeah. Might even be a little bit of a wick through. So just the whole form is that's what it would need to do, yeah. Is this move, I'm going to go to the 2-day, is you can see that the 2-day is wicking each other at the moment here, yeah. And normally when they wick each other is not confirmed. They got a crossover, yeah. But you can see this pump turned to 2-day. Before this pump, you could see we were here, and it looked like it could get a bit of reversal easier, and then we got this push up, yeah. I'm just flicking into the 3 and 4 day for a sec, yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the 4 hour, no, the 1 hour, and then the 4 hour. I'm going to look at the 1 hour to 4 hour. So you can see the same thing, because the same thing is, look at this, the 1 hour breaks, drops, there's a back test to the 55, is holds, and look, there's that bigger push down. You see it all the time. Now look, here's a back test to the 55 again, it gets a push down, but look, it doesn't break below. So there's the 1, 2. And again, now there's the push up, look, it snaps up, and 1, 2, 3, it does look like we're going to have a 3, 4, 5. It does look like we're going to have another push up here a little bit, yeah. But again, it broke it. Wherever it happens to go, is we're looking at a back test to the 55 on the 1 hour, because again, that's what it does. So on the 1 hour, so that's that there. Is what it also snapped up, because look, it was heading down. The 2 hour had crossed over here, dropped, rejected, tested, and look, it broke the 2 hour here again, yeah. I'm telling you this for a reason. There's the 3 hour again, yeah. It's the 4 hour. So when we come to the 4 hour, is look, the 4 hour didn't break. The 4 hour didn't break. Now this is why I'm showing you this. Is look where the 4 hour broke here, yeah. So the 4 hour broke, and we got this pump. Actually, we'll do from the bottom, yeah. Because this is this impulse. So when the 4 hour crossed here, and you can nearly argue that the 4 hour crossed here, but we'll do it from here, yeah. No, we'll do it from here. I'll stick to the rules. Here, 1, 2, potentially 3, 4, and that 5 up to 64 or so. Or else it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So anyway, my point is that look, when the 4 hour crosses over, is it made this move. So I'm going to measure the percentage. That was a massive 78, nearly 79% move. Yeah. Okay. So now, when this 4 hour crosses, now it's been rejected at the moment, but remember we have our pump here. Even if this does a pump up to let's say here 53, I'm going to put the fib on 53 all the way to the bottom here. Okay, let's assume it's going to do this. I'll do here as well, but let's assume it goes up to 53. Yeah, it will need to do its correction, and I'm relating it to the 4 hour. Is if it comes back down and does a 786 correction at, again, 44 or so, 44 or so, is what will this do to the 1 hour? To the 1 hour, if I pull this in here like this, if price action comes back down to here, is again, it'll pull down the 5 to 15 to 30. But what will happen with the 1 hour? If the 1 hour crosses over, we could be looking for that bigger spill. If it gets rejected and bounces up, okay, then it looks like we're going up higher again. Yeah, we're going for that higher lift. So now, what happens with this correction on the 1 hour EMAs is going to give us a very strong indication of whether, if it crosses over, we could be looking for that bigger move down, or equally is we get a bounce. Okay, now we're going up, and we could be breaking this higher high here and heading up for the 64, 59 or 64, something like that. Yeah. So you get why I'm talking about this. So there's the 2 hour. See, there's to keep an eye on this here, the 786. So this price action coming back down here, whether it goes up there or this is the high, comes back down to around 44. There's a good chance that the 2 hour will start to turn. The 3 hour will start to turn. And I think the magic trick for the down is to get the 4 hour to turn. So now is, as an example, get rid of both of these. This is what I'll be watching. Actually this is neater. Let's assume it goes up here. Goes all the way back down here. We could, again, you can see the sideways. We could have this as one example, and then potentially I'll be watching for maybe the one gets pulled up a little bit more. Okay, but then as it turns, it starts to get pulled down here, and it'll do something like this. Again, I'm not sure how correct that is, yeah, but you get what I'm trying to say. And here's the 4 hour, and the 4 hour is going to do something like this. Okay, so now the question is, when the 20 and the 55 on the 4 hour finally get to touch, the question is, will it reject and break up further, or will it cross through and then we have our breakdown? So I pretty much think that is going to be a key indicator for the bigger move, yeah. And that could kick off. Remember this here. It was a 78% move. So if this crosses here, a pretty big move down as well. Yeah. Space. So let's just say that this is the top, just for convenience. There's that 67, 68% drop, which would take us down to 18 or so. And then I'm just going to bring you back to this chart. And if you remember, this chart that I'll be talking about the last couple of days is when price action previously is its peak, and then it starts to find its way down, and it's a 67% drop here. The bottom of the bear market, the previous one, bottom of the bear market, 68% drop, gets its lift, and eventually finds its way down. Yeah. You can see this is on days. So on the first bear market, look how long this took. This took a long time, days wise. Like it's peaked here on the 24th of October, and the drop happened in one day, probably 15 minutes, on the 27th of January. So the October, November, December, this took 3 months, yeah. But on this one, this one didn't take as long. This is the 15th of February, and this is the 13th of March. So slightly less than a month, yeah. And this is where the top was, yeah. So now top-wise, we may be here. We may be here with one more push, or we may already be here. And we're battling out this here, yeah. So things are sort of speeding up at the moment. So if this is the top, is the 23rd of September, is say the 19th of no, 9th, no, hang on. This is September, so we only want to go to October. Give it the same time, 19th of October. 19th just as a, and again, you see, I'm being general here. So the 19th of October is, that would be another 2 or 3 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks where it's working its way down. And then sometime the next couple of weeks, one day we wake up and just, boom, it just tears down. Yeah. Now that's if this is the top. If this decides to go on up here, is okay. Now from there is it looks like we're going to have a 2 to 3 week, possibly nearly 4 week time before we get that day when we wake up and it does a dump. But between then, it just starts to work its way down. Yeah. And again, remember what I said is once price action gets below the 50 SMA on the daily, is what we're looking for is a back test and a rejection, and then it starts to work its way down. It might back test it twice and then work its way down. So that's really what I'm watching out for. Yeah. And just to qualify why I'm thinking that is look at this pattern here. Yeah. Okay. And then equally this pattern here. It's exactly the same pattern here. And this here is exactly the same pattern here. Same. There's both. Exactly the same on both. Both bottoms are doing exactly the same. So here we have the same pattern here. We've got the lift, but we don't have the drop. Okay? And I'm looking at this pattern here. I know it's not to scale. So what I'm looking at is it's either here like this, and we're looking for to get below the 50. Maybe it goes up to 60. Maybe it does pump up to 65, and then we have our pattern kicking in. But at the moment, it's holding form. So that's the question: is have we got one more leg up, or is this it and we're heading down? So that's really the question I believe we're asking ourselves. Yeah, that's all I really have to say. So now let's go back to simplifying this. Yeah, is on the daily, look for what happens tomorrow with price action here. Yeah, if the VWAP takes a sharp turn down again, okay, it looks like again it's going to have another go at the 20 MA. Yeah, breaking the 20 MA again, it looks like we're going to get below the 50 SMA on the daily, and at the moment that is at 39.64. So if you start to see price action get below 40 and push through, it's breaking the 50 SMA. I think that's an indication that, okay, it's getting below. If a back test, okay, we know the form is in. Okay, so when we see the 50 MA getting broken and back tested, that should ring alarm bells in your head about potentially what's coming up. Yeah. So we got to see 39.7 at the moment. Excuse me. So as price action plays out on the daily, is we would need to see the VWAP. Where's it gone? We would need to see the VWAP turn down, and the 5 and 10 take a turn down, and again that'll give it a good pull to break the 20 EMA, which is at 43. Here's the 55 is at 39.07. So remember we talked about the daily is the crossover, the 20 crossover to 55. We're going to get a back test. We're going to get a back test to the 55 here, and the 55 happens to be at 39. The exact same space zone where the 50 SMA is on the daily. So if we see that getting broken and then a back test that gets rejected, I think that's a really good sign for a dump, an incoming dump. Okay. Now, if we're going to go up and do another leg first, is tomorrow is that VWAP. I don't think it's going to turn down, and the 5 and 10 might just take a turn and head on up. Yeah. So we got to see. we got to see what happens here. Yeah. The 12-hour is going to turn pretty soon. It's the 12-hour is going to turn in 2 hours. Okay, so this is the 12-hour now. Yeah. Again, the same thing is if this is going to do another push up, is this VWAP will continue up. I don't think it'll take a turn down. So if the VWAP turns sideways, I still think it's leaving the space open for that push up. So we may still get that push up for the rest of the day, and then the correction. At some point, the correction is going to come in later today, possibly even the end of the day. So if the end of the day ends at a peak and it starts to correct, it's telling us that tomorrow is going to start coming down. But we got to see if this is the top. Is maybe the first couple of hours of the 12 will go up, and then it'll start heading down, and we get a push down. So we got to see what plays out with the MAs here. If I go to the 4 hour, is you can see this 4 hours is pushing here. Is on the next 4 hour, which again is going to turn in 2 hours. We've got to see what this 5 and the VWAP does. Is the VWAP is heading up a little bit here, so the VWAP really needs to hold, and price action really needs to turn pretty soon, or else it's going to pop up. Yeah. So now the 2 hour just turned 10 minutes ago. So what's that telling us? Okay, that's telling us that the 5 is after doing a lift. So the 5 is starting to move away again. You see the 10 and the 5 here. That definitely is a continuation pattern here. When you see the 10 coming up, the 5 tries to turn and then starts to head up like this. It is a continuation pattern. But look, the VWAP has gone sideways. The VWAP is sort of saying no here. So the VWAP, I was going to say it is resistance, even though price action is above. Why do I say that? Because it's not letting it race up. That's really what I'm trying to say. Is even if the VWAP is support here, it's weak support. So I actually think when I see it like this, I think VWAP is resistance, and it's holding the MAs from going. I.e. is that the market makers are stopping the retail from pushing it up too hard. They're holding it back. So they'll make it move at their own leisure. Okay, so that's why I think that's there. I'm not saying it's not going to go up, but the market makers control the VWAP, I believe. They're the if you think about it, scales is you've got up and down either side of it, and then right in the middle of it is the balance. And the market makers, the algorithm is controlling the balance. So it tips the scales when it wants, and it holds it in place when it wants. So that's what the VWAP is. So the VWAP is either support or resistance. And then sometimes when you see price action go really slow and not move very far, is because the algorithm is holding the center, and it holds the levels very level. So that's really what's going on there, yeah. And it is completely manipulated. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that in a bad way. Is when you understand what's happening, is you can trade it, So the 1 hour. Okay, look at this. 1 hour keeps journeying up. Here's the 10. Sorry, the 5 here. The orange, the 10 here. Look at this fucker. It's not being overly eager, but they're still heading up. Yeah, let's see. It's hitting off the Bollinger here. You can see it's getting exhausted. Like, look how many hours it's just slowly dragging its way up. Yeah. Let's see what happens on this 5. Well, we really need to see this 5 turn down again for my short. So when I say we, I really mean me. So I'm just having a quick look at the half hour. 15 minute. Okay, I should flip back to this for a moment. I want to have a look at the stock. So remember, we're looking at the 15 minute and it was down, and we were like, okay, look, it looks like it wants to keep heading up. So from down here, it's heading up. Look, it's broke a high again. At this time, look, it's starting to move up pretty fast. So this lift here is starting to bring it back up. Yeah, it's starting to bring it back up. Excuse me. There's the 5. Okay, see how the 5 has been held up here. The 5 is like the tip of the spear. So you literally think about this, the tip of the spear, and you get a little bit more of it is the 15. You know, the head of the spear is like an hour. You know, and then the grip is the handle grip is the 4 hour. The whole spear itself is the day and the week. You know, so when you want to look at the tip and the way the tip is going, is you look at the 5, yeah, and it just gives you an indication that think about something reaches a peak, and at some point there is a tipping point where it turns, and you see that on the 5. So when you can see it on the 5, then does it follow through to the 15 and the hour? So there's a refinement and an accuracy with being able to read the 5 minute. It's not like, oh, you make your decisions on what the 5 hours doing. That would be silly. Oh, the 5 hours turning, let's do something. That would be crazy to do that. But when you're looking at making a decision, you want to make it. Let's say you're day trading, is you want to make look at the 5 to give you an indication. You look at the 15 to go look at starting to turn. Is when you start to see the 15 turn and you get a confirmation with the hour. That's a solid opportunity on a day trade, yeah. So you'd never make a decision on what the 5 is doing. But if something's topping out, is the 5 will be the first to show you that it's done now and it's breaking. So what do I mean here? Okay, a perfect example is look at the VWAP. Is you start to see the 5 break down through the VWAP, that's an indication. Okay, look, it's above it. You start to see it break below it. Okay, maybe it's done and it wants to start heading down. Will the 15 minute follow through? So that's a good indication. It's one of the things I'm looking at. Is you want to see price action and the 5s and the 10s, the 20s starting to break the VWAP here. So that's an example of it, yeah. Okay, so last thing I'm going to say, because this is going on, I know it is there's a bearish divergence, bottom left, bearish divergence on the 5 minute. Let's have a look on a bit of a lag. Okay, there it is on the 15 still. Again, you can get a bunch of those. Before it actually turns, yeah. There's 2 on the half hour. So you can start to see they're starting to layer up. Is while price action is look, it's creeping up. Is you can see the RSI is not being able to go up with price action. So while price action is going up, look at the RSI. It drops, it lifts, doesn't get above. It drops, it lifts again, gets a little bit, and it drops again. So you can see in the half hour, the RSI is starting to get exhausted. Let's have a look at the hour. Okay, see the hour there. This one here, the hour is turning a little bit red at the moment. So look at the RSI. After getting another signal on the RSI here, so you can see it's getting a little bit busted. Remember I said about the scoops? I am mindful here of is we got the 1, 2 to push away at W, 1 scoop, 2 scoop. Look at this, just above 3. We may get our back test of the VWAP. So 3, 4, and then 5, and that's where we get our blow off top, and then we'll have our correction, and then I think the VWAP will get broken. So that's sort of looking like the way it might happen, yeah. We'll see. So so there's bearish divergence on the hour. I'm just going to go all the way to the 4 hour just to see if the 4 hours appeared. Again, no bearish on the 2 hour. Or the 3 hour. Or the 4 hour. Okay, so maybe what will happen on those later time frames is that if it does happen the way I'm suggesting, is that we get a 3, 4, 5. Once it tops out here, and then it starts to correct, then I think maybe the bearish divergence on the 4 hour will appear again, yeah. And that's what might happen, yeah. And also look at the RSI bottom second on the right, is you can see that it's starting to top out. So again, we could get another 4 hour that gives another little bit of a top, and that 4 hour will top out, and that will be the turn of the 12 hour. So you get a little lift on the 12 hour. You get a little lift on the first phase of the first hour or two of the 4 hour, and then that 4 hour might turn red. So the next 4 hour is maybe tops it a little bit more, and then turns red, and then starts to head down. It becomes a rejection, yeah? Maybe. Let's see. Same on the 12 hour. Is it turns, might get a lift here, and then it turns and it comes down. Although to be honest, maybe we get that top. Let me correct myself. I think we're probably, if we're going to get that final blow off top, I think it's actually going to happen before the turn of the 12 hour. There you go. So I think what's going to happen is this 4 hour, if it wants to top out, is this will be the one that'll top out. And then we'll be in for a move down, yeah. So I think the 4 hour after that may be red. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see. But that's it for now. That's it for now. Is if you're looking for a short, is there's a potential short. This is a daily trade, yeah. Is when you see price action topping out here, there's a potential short. Okay. And let's just say it doesn't break this from here. Okay. So when you see this start to top out, anywhere from 51, between 51 and 50, I'd say 51 and 50. Somewhere I think it's going to top out here, and then we start to get a correction down, yeah. And then the correction down is, if it comes all the way down to the 786, it will be at 43.50. The 702 is 44. So when you see the retrace here, okay, you look at this, geez, this might turn red already. And then the correction is, the range will be between the golden pocket 618 at 45 and 43.50, which is a 786. And if you look at this support line here, it's a good indication that it's going to come back down and hit this line somewhere along here, yeah. So I think that would be the range. So if you look, there's the 4 hour going red, back to green. I think it's going to find its way. I think it's going to find its way down here. It might get down by the end of the day, but it might take till tomorrow, yeah. It looks like there'll be a target here, yeah. Again, back around the 44. You just need to watch it, yeah. After that, it may decide to head on up and start going up and doing that 59 to 64. So yeah, but we need to watch when it comes back onto this line. If it does, will it break this line? Okay, and if it does, we might have a glorious spill, come down to the next level. So anyway, you need to watch it. Okay, so listen, that's it for me.